best stories in sports. This is an E60 feature presentation.
I wake up every morning and the first thing I do is go run. That's my me time.
Along the hours, through the marathons, across the miles, he always returns to the letter.
Dear Paisley, I wanted to take a second to let you know about the emotional roller coaster you've put me through for the past 2 years.
The letter is a confession to a person who's never read it, the person he tried to run from, and now runs toward.
I was afraid you would someday find out how scared and selfish I used to be. The more I thought about it, the more I decided that I want you to know the truth.
He wanted to be perfect, and he was going to make sure that nothing he did stood in the way. This was not who he was supposed to be. This was not the family he was supposed to have. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't right.
Growing up in East Texas, Heath White knew one thing: success. A standout athlete and top student, graduating third in his class, he earned a scholarship to Northwestern State in central Louisiana. There he started running and continued succeeding in just about everything.
What grades did you pull there?
A 4.0. After graduation, I went to law school for a semester, and then I got accepted into pilot training with the U.S. Air Force. Grew up watching Top Gun, so I wanted to be Maverick.
He didn't know what it was, but he's always felt like there was something really special meant for just him to accomplish in his life.
Graduating at the top of his class as an Air Force pilot, White celebrated in signature style by asking the girl he knew since middle school to join his flight through life.
At the end of the graduation, they all gathered around Jennifer, and I got down on a knee and they all yelled, "Will you marry me?"
After I said yes, a lady walked up to me and she goes, "So which one did you pick?" If I had the choice, I said the one with the ring.
Heath and Jennifer White were married April 7th, 2000. 4 years into their marriage, the Whites were expecting their first child.
In his mind, what was your child to be like?
Perfect, like he was. They would be smart, because how could they not be? We were both college graduates. They would be perfect.
Pepper White was born May 2005, a healthy baby girl. A year later, the Whites were expecting again.
We were trying to have a little sister or a little brother, or brother definitely, for Pepper at that time, so.
Prenatal tests showed their baby would have Down syndrome, a condition caused by an extra chromosome that delays and limits the ways a child develops, both physically and mentally.
What was your fear?
That he would leave. That he would just run away. Worse than that, I knew that he would probably want me to abort her. Because I knew that his convictions on that were not as strong as mine.
I did everything I could to try and force her into having an abortion.
What did you say to her?
My main concern was what people would think about me, as a, man, a pilot, or, Air Force officer, whatever, that, what weakness inside me, caused that.
He wasn't ugly or rude or abusive or anything like that. He was just absent. He just wasn't emotionally there at all.
I've got genetically superior genes. I'm a winner with winner's blood. Learning you're going to have a child with Downs is like experiencing a death. That's what I felt like I was getting a broken baby. All I could think was, why me?
mean, I love this man more than life itself. So I had to think, what if? What if I aborted her? What if I got rid of her? And I remember a little voice in my head saying, no way, it's not happening. No way. I mean, I contemplated it for maybe an hour. He did for months.
She couldn't do it. Basically, that, get on board or don't.
Paisley White was born on March 16, 2007.
I remember the day she was born, and I remember my mom saying, oh, she doesn't really look like she has Down syndrome. And I told her, she was lying. You could definitely tell that she had Down syndrome.
It really felt like I had lost a baby, even though I had one sitting right in front of me. And I think it was after she started feeding that I said, she's good. She's perfect. We're gonna be fine.
For Heath, who stopped running competitively at that time, acceptance took several months.
The turning point, I had her down and I tickled her, and she laughed and giggled at me and tried to push me away. And her laughing and smiling and reacting with me, that's when I realized that she's just like any other kid. She's my kid.
What goes through you as you recall that moment now, Heath?
Happiness about that moment, that I was actually able, Paisley was able to change me.
The change came partially in an idea, a way to show the world his new daughter and find his place beside her. Heath began to run again, this time pushing Paisley.
Why did you want to do it?
To let everybody see that I was proud of her. Nobody knew, the way I felt before she was born. And if I can keep one family, one person from having to live with the guilt and almost making the mistake that I almost made, it's going to be worth the pain that Paisley will feel later in life, knowing the way I felt.
March 2nd, 2008, just before Paisley's first birthday, they ran their first marathon in Little Rock.
I remember buckling her in. She was so little, and we had her all bundled up, and she was flopping all around in there.
We were probably 100 yards from the finish line, and he saw us and he stopped, and we were like, what are you doing? And he said, I'm gonna walk her across the finish line.
It was just me and her. There was nothing between us. Looking back on the pictures of, running with her, that's a good memory.
Look at your medal! Ah, good job.
That finish was just a beginning. Heath continued to run races with his daughter, but wanted another way to show his pride in her. This time, permanently.
One of the first things someone sees when they look at Paisley is Down syndrome. And I want it to be one of the first things you see when you see me.
Over the next 4 years, finding time away from his work as an FBI agent, Heath ran more and more races with Paisley. 5Ks, 10Ks, 9 more marathons, including a race back in his hometown, Wascom, Texas, in front of his family who were waiting at the finish line.
71, Heath White, and number 72, Paisley White, at 1952.
How'd you do?
We won. On that day, she was number 1.
And they've never gotten a first place before. That couldn't have been a better spot for it to happen.
You got this medal with Daddy?
Yeah.
How about this one?
I
How about that one? Oh, look at this.
Still, all the medals and miles wouldn't erase the future worries a father faces for his daughter.
Let's see.
Whoa, that's a big splash.
What's your fear?
My fear is one day somebody calling her retarded. Somebody using that word in her presence, or making fun of her because she's different, and having to explain to her, you know, about society, and then having to build her self-esteem back up and letting her know how much I love her.
That's one reason why, in the midst of all the races and runs, when Paisley was 18 months old, Heath sat down to write the letter he's never read to his daughter.
I wanted people to know just how much you've taught me, how much I love you. It was just my way of, you know, repenting. Chances are that she never would have known the way I felt before she was born. I went through the entire grieving process. You know, that could have been my dirty secret that I kept with me forever. But I didn't want it to be, you know, a secret. I wanted her to know that, you know, she was everything to me.
Heath and Jennifer had a third child in 2010, another girl named Tex, and they are currently expecting their fourth, yet another little girl, this October.
Hey, you're like a little Eskimo. Look, silly girl.
On March 4th this year, at 38, Heath White prepared to push Paisley, now 5 years old, for the final time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wheelchair athletes off!
This last race will complete a goal, running together for 321 miles, a number with a deeper meaning.
The 321 is significant because Down syndrome is the third replication of the 21st chromosome. Being able to hit that, you know, on our last marathon together, it was a number that meant something to both she and I.
Why stop now?
It's bigger than Paisley. Paisley can play, Paisley can go. Paisley doesn't need me to push her. Good job.
Initially, Heath had said, I don't want to take care of somebody for the rest of my life. I think now he looks at it and says, oh my goodness, I may not get to take care of her the rest of her life.
The moment you cross the line. How would you describe it?
That one was tough. I had a hard time catching my breath. And I don't know whether it was from physical exertion, but it was pretty emotional knowing that it was the last time.
Hey, buddy.
Over the couple of years, we'd become a team.
Can I have a kiss? I love you.
Everything I've done, everything I've tried to accomplish, it was never going to be perfect. But my love for Paisley is perfect. I'm always going to be there to make sure she gets to the finish line. Before you were born, I only worried about how your disability reflected on me. Now, there's no better mirror in the world. You're my light in the dark, and it's a privilege to be your dad. Love always, Daddy.